Hello, and welcome back to Living in My Mind. Below's a number if you need to, if you want to. Please send me a text, reach out, call, and anything we can do to help, we definitely will. Today, I'm going to talk about something that I think all of us deal with and we struggle with, and the word's called forgiveness. I find it amazing that people are always talking about how can you not forgive someone? And the answer is, really? Forgiveness is very difficult because then a lot of times we feel as if we lost when we forgive another person, the other person won, or the fact is you're letting somebody off the hook. I've been going through a lot after my mother died, a lot of hate and anger towards myself and feeling like I let my mother down when she was alive by not being there all the time, not being responsive, avoiding responsibilities because I knew my family was there and I lived away. And I finally realized like forgiveness and regrets are almost the same to me. If you have a lot of regrets, you're never going to move forward. You have to get through those regrets. And when it comes to forgiveness, if we can't forgive ourselves, how are we going to forgive somebody else? Now, do we need to forgive other people? To me, the answer is no. We just don't. There are people who are diabolical, who are toxic, who are cruel. That's just the way they are, and they know that many of them. They make that choice. So if you affect my life, I'm not going to forgive you. I could love you, stand away from you. I've walked away from quite a few people in the last 3 months, but I just can't forgive the type of person you are. Why should I? Why do I need to? Is it going to make me a better person? No. The answer is no. You're not going to be a better person. It's funny, I was watching something today and I saw Taylor Swift and they asked her about forgiveness and she, I believe, I'm not quoting her, stipulated that, no, you don't need to forgive somebody. And that's the truth. When people hurt you, you have to move through it, but at the same time, you can't have any residuals or anger or hate. If you're going to forgive somebody, then it should be cut and dry. They're forgiven, you move on. But forgiveness to me is very difficult because my mind, I'm always wondering why someone would do something to me, why someone would treat me that way. What did I do to you for you to hurt me, be toxic towards me, use me, lie to me, cheat? Then I look at myself and I realize, Mother of God, I've done those things to a lot of people. So I'm no better than that person that I don't want in my life. But I acknowledge that and I know it and I work at it. There are people who don't work at it. Forgiveness is a very strong word, especially if you're just stating, well, I forgive you. Well, what do you forgive that person for? Unless you communicate what it is you're forgiving somebody for, it's not going to work. They're not going to know what the hell's going on. The work I do is details. If someone says to me, look, I'm going in the room, I'm going to pick up the pillow. My mind, I'm going to the room, I'm going to pick up the pillow. I walked in the door, there's a couch on the left, there's a table on the right, there's food on the table, there's a big screen TV, basketball. It's all about detail. So when someone says forgive someone, and someone tells you, like religious organizations always say, forgive someone, turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek. Where the hell did that foolish cliche come from? You keep turning the cheek, sooner or later, you're going to break your neck. You're going to get hit so hard, you don't have answers. And one of the things that I've come to realize with myself is when I keep telling myself, I'm going to forgive that person, where do I have the power to forgive anybody? None of you have the power to forgive anybody. We're not God. We're not some holy person. We're not something in someone, whoever somebody worships. We're just not. It's very arrogant in my book for me to tell someone I forgive them or someone to say they forgive me. I've laughed at it when people say they forgive me. Now, if you say to me, Dennis, the transgression that took place in what you did hurt me, let's have a conversation, I can accept that. And I can do that with you as well. But we have to get over it because once we forgive someone or we tell ourselves we're forgiven, there's still residuals from it. Then we're going to look at other people and think about this. How many of you, and I know I have, and I still do, and I'm trying to change, have an issue with someone, you've worked through it, hopefully. Then you meet somebody else and you get the slight hint that it's going to be just like the other person. What do? You turn back into that person. You get angry. You get hateful. You get spiteful. We all do those things. So now we're picking out somebody else rather than the initial target that created this. It's a cycle that keeps going. It's a cycle that never stops. I've had that. I go to bed at night and the shit that goes through my head about people I hate, people I hope that don't do well, people I hope generationally their families don't do well, that goes through my head at night, and my mind is going a million miles an hour. There's only 4 people that is with. But the reality is I don't control them. But the reality is I'm letting them control me. So I've got a lot to learn, and I'm working on it. I'd love to sleep, but that's not the case. I'd love to be able to say to myself, okay, you don't need that hate. Now, sadly, many of us are fueled by hate, are fueled by anger, are fueled by something that's negative. And that's what fuels me. So I haven't forgiven certain people. The most important person that I'm learning to forgive for all the transgressions I've had over the years, and I've had some really horrible things that I've done to people and that I've said to people and situations I've been in, because I literally at times have no concern. A friend of mine who I mentioned a while back had said something about my mom using the N-word because he didn't like my politics. He didn't like the fact that I believed in Black Lives Matter, not about the organization, but people. And he made some comments. Now, I haven't spoken to him. I told his wife, I said, look, when he passes away, I'll always love him. There's no need to tell me. This man's been in my life for 40-something years. And I'm numb towards him. And I'm okay with that. I don't even think about him. He's not one of the 4 people. It's just that after a certain time, when we become numb to something, there's a reason. I've always said this, and I will continue to say it. People don't walk away from another person to teach that person a lesson. They walk away because you've learned the lesson. I've learned my lessons over and over and over. It's like a damn Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray, the movie. Forgiveness is a difficult thing. It's doable. But there's different degrees of forgiveness that I've dealt with. And one of those things that I realize that I have to do is take a look at myself and realize, have I done that to somebody? Did I do this to somebody? Am I the same person that I'm angry at? Am I them? Looking in the mirror. I look in the mirror every day and it's an ugly picture. I see a lot. I have a lot of self-anger. I have a lot of shame. I have a lot of self-hate in certain situations. But I've had wonderful tools that help me get through it. I don't linger on them. These 4 people, I got to get rid of that in my mind because it's the only thing that's going to work if I get rid of it. Because I do believe if we haven't forgiven ourselves, we're never going to be able to forgive another human being. I think the most important thing is you forgive yourself because no one is innocent unless you've had something traumatic happen to you that someone has done to you, whether it's verbally, physically, sexually, then you're innocent. But a lot of times, many of us adults, we're not innocent. But we always want to be the victim. I think forgiveness goes hand in hand with being a victim. We've always played a victim, but you don't understand. But this person did this. This person did that. Really? Well, what was your part in it? Well, no. It ended because of this. And you look at yourself. I was in a relationship with someone, semi-relationship, don't really know what the hell you want to call it, for about 4 years. And never once in that relationship was it an equal relationship. Now, a lot of that was because of me, because I love taking care of this person and an amazing human being. The only person I've ever thought about in my life having a child with. But when I sat back and realized that the person couldn't reciprocate it, that was on me. You can't expect to get something from somebody if they can't give it. And that doesn't mean that they're a bad person. They might have issues. They might have problems. But that's what they have to work through. I've always been one of those people. I was raised by 3 wonderful women, taking care of, nurturing. I've always been someone to take care of somebody. Even if I put myself second, I even put my family second to different people. That's not a good person in my book. It's a selfish, self-centered prick. And that's what I was for years. And I probably am still to a degree in many different ways, but that's a lot different because it's not about people. It's about work. It's about progress. It's about the projects that I'm working on. I'll be selfish in all those. But my most important thing that I give to myself every morning is I wake up and I tell myself, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be hateful. It's okay to be frustrated at somebody. It's okay not to care about other people. I tell myself. Now, if I go out and I act on that and I hurt someone verbally or physically, psychologically, That's a different story. Being honest with myself is something that's difficult for me. It's difficult for a lot of people. I work with a lot of people who are stuck in the same situation day in and day out. The only thing that's different, it's the next day, Monday, then Tuesday, then Wednesday, then Thursday. It's a whole cycle. And we help create that. We create our own cycle. Once we learn to forgive ourselves, life's a lot easier. We can breathe a lot because fear gets in there as well. How many of you have ever been afraid to walk away from a so-called friendship or relationship because you didn't want to be alone? Someone's helping you financially. Someone is there for you. No matter how dysfunctional that person is or how bad they treat you, they've told you or you've told yourself that that's the only way you deserve to be treated. You don't. You deserve to be treated better. We all deserve to be treated the way we really want to. And that's with love and kindness and caring. But it starts with us. I'm learning to forgive myself with all the stuff that took place with my mother and grandmother. I was a horrible human being to them at certain parts of my life. Lying, manipulating, stealing from them, angry at them. For what reason? I was angry because I didn't have a dad. That wasn't my mother's fault. My dad was a man who was abusive and beat my mother. I was so happy he was out of our lives. All they ever did was take care of me. But for whatever reason, to this day, I can't figure out why I was so adamant and mean and cruel at times. And that kills me. I spend a lot of time with tears over that still. And it feels good to know that I can feel that. In the past, I couldn't feel anything. And that's tough when you don't feel anything. Then it's never going to be anything that's going to be beneficial to you. It's like they say there are people out there that are psychopaths and sociopaths who have no concern for other people. They just do whatever they need to do. And they don't care. I think we've all met some people like that. We all have those tendencies. But getting back to forgiveness, on a day-to-day basis, there's certain things you can do to forgive yourself. Number one, get up in the morning and start it with a great morning. Part of forgiveness is doing things positive for yourself. So you know that you deserve an opportunity. You know you deserve good things. When I was in that really bad place of hating myself and discussing with myself, my eating disorder, my sex addiction, and gambling addiction were phenomenal because it kept my mind away from anything. Then when I stopped using all of them to help me deal with the crap that I've done, then I started saying, okay, I can forgive myself for this towards myself. I can forgive myself for this behavior, but I have to address that behavior just like any of us. I have to address the situation just like any of us. So looking in the right place is right in front of us. When people talk about forgiveness, someone said to me yesterday, how come you can't forgive this person? I said, you don't know the whole story. I'm always amazed and it upsets and pisses me off when you have these people that are righteous. Well, you just have to forgive somebody. That's the only way you're going to do better. That's the only way you're going to heaven. Really? Last time I checked, there were wars over the years that were the Catholic Church and throughout history. I'm pretty sure some of those people are in heaven and they did a lot of killing. If you look in the Bible, a lot of killing. A lot of things that if we did nowadays, hell, we'd end up in prison. But the reality is those people that are in my life, I keep boundaries. And I've got to get better with that. And I have to keep boundaries with myself. I have to forgive myself on a day-to-day basis. One of those things is I love it when people say, God, forgive me for what I'm about to do. Really? You think about it, you planned something that might not be good, might not be right, might be toxic, might be dysfunctional, might be hurting, but you're asking for forgiveness. Another expression is, I'd rather ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And people that I've heard say that, they say it like it's funny. It's like in work, you take a chance on something. Personal life, you take a chance. Really? Why would you rather ask for forgiveness than permission? Why are you asking anybody for permission? What are you asking people for permission for? If you're in a job, you have guidelines. If it's personal, you have boundaries. If it's spiritual, it's open for any interpretation that you choose to. Even though we have everybody out there wanting to interpret Bible and the Quran and the Torah, whatever, that's their, God bless them. That's their deal. But forgiveness to me is looking in the mirror and realizing that I'm not a bad person. I'm not an ugly person. I'm not a cruel person. I'm not a diabolical person. Now, at times in my life, I've acted out in those ways, but that doesn't define me and it doesn't make me who I am. If you think about it, how many different people out there do people follow? Social media. You follow people sometimes because you want to be them. You live your life through them because maybe you can't do that. Maybe you're ashamed of yourself. Maybe you're embarrassed financially, whatever the situations are. But when you go on certain places and look for guidance and it's misguided, how does that work? A young lady I do some work with, she said she went on TikTok the other day and she was listening to a guy. It made her feel really good. He said that he worked in certain fields. No, didn't say what it was. So she sent him a message and she sent him a situation. He sent her back a message stipulating that, oh, it just seems like you're a closet narcissist. For almost 24 hours, her life was almost destroyed. She had no idea what to do. And so she called me and I said, here's the situation. You don't know the guy. You shared one situation. We all have narcissistic tendencies. And if anybody doesn't think they do, then I'm sorry, then you're lying to yourself. But she believed what this man had told her. She couldn't even tell me his name. She couldn't even tell me what handle he went by or what identity. And it was just a very odd situation. So how many of us listen to people who aren't qualified? Now, I'm not saying that you need to see a therapist or a psychologist or a medical professional, because many of them I work with and many of them aren't qualified to help you. It could be your friend. It could be someone you don't meet, you don't know, and you meet them. It could be anybody that helps you, because a lot of people have gone through it and many of them do better. I know a lot of people that don't trust therapists. I trust some. One of the reasons we don't trust them is they're great at memorizing. They go to school, they memorize everything, but human nature and human contact, they're not good at. They think because they have a degree and because they have a license that they know better. No, that doesn't work for me. I've learned more about myself from people who aren't in therapy, who aren't therapists, or aren't doctors. I've learned from people because I interact with people every day. We go to therapy how often? Maybe once a week? If you go every 2 weeks. So you've got what? 1 hour out of the week that you're going to sit there and talk to someone who's going to tell you, be good to yourself, love yourself, forgive yourself. What the hell are you going to do the next 14 days or 13 days before you meet that person again? That's the tough part. You can build boundaries, you can forgive yourself, but it also is in different compartments about forgiveness. And that's how I look at it. How many of you have animals? And your dog or your cat, or if you got a pig nowadays, knocked something over in the house or ate something, and you stayed mad at that animal who's innocent. It's an animal. You stayed mad. Or you do it to a child and you stay mad because it's a little child. How many children have we read about where the families have beat them or locked them up, or kids have died because they did something that upset the parent? There's no forgiveness when you do that to a child. You deserve to die in prison or by the hands of another human being. But you think about it, that's how extreme people are that can't forgive. Those people that do something like that can't forgive themselves for what they went through. Many people have gone through a lot. Examples of growing up in a house where people are addicts, growing up in a house where there's domestic violence. I've had so many people say to me, well, I grew up, it was good enough for me. No, it's not. It's not. If you haven't worked at forgiving yourself, because a lot of us think that if we're in a situation and it's bad, we're the problem. You're not the problem. You have to look for the solution. In relationships that are dysfunctional, or one is more dominant and cruel or overbearing and manipulative, if that's all you know, then that's what you're going to seek. But once you step away and you see how other people live and how other people have an opportunity to move forward in life, you'll see that you did nothing wrong. If you really are going to use the words, please forgive me, make sure you've done something wrong. Don't do it because you want to keep that dysfunctional, diabolical human being. Don't do it because you don't want to be lonely. Don't do it because you think that's what you need. They say absence makes the heart grow fonder. Also, absence makes your own heart much fuller with self-love. Because once you're out of a situation, it's a lot easier to look into your own world and your own life. I just wanted to share this with you today because I've been going through this. Some of it might make sense, some of it might not. But when you look at forgiveness, look in the mirror and realize, unless you're one of these people that are just diabolical and sick and cruel, and you're born that way, there are people who are born that way. No matter what anybody tells me, I've met them. Give yourself a chance. Forgive yourself before you need to forgive another human being. Thank you for listening to Living in My Mind. The number below, please text or call. And definitely I can help you with whatever situation you're looking for. Find the right people. It's not easy, but it's very doable. Thank you very much.